That a lot of Parramatta forward lineups have had in the past. Price, Duffy, Wynn, Mayers, Mosley and Stewart against McCabe, Cleal, Vorton, Glenn Ryan and the two Browns. Parramatta's coaches John Money, Manly. At the helm there, Bobby Fulton. Alan Thompson playing his 250th first grade game for Manly Club today. And Brett Kenny plays his 100th for Parramatta today. Little or no breeze to an advantage to one or the other. And so there's the ball put into play by Steve Ella. The first blow in the clashes of Manly and Parramatta for 1984. An immediate kick downfield by Hegarty is taken by Sterling and immediately given to Growth, and Growth launches himself at the defence, but Brown and Thompson combined to pull him down. This is Quinn, and he's about 20 metres on the Parramatta side of halfway. Minor grades, thirds to Manly, 22-20, and reserves a very exciting clash to Manly, 20-12. So the ones are going for the treble here in the maroon and white today. Ray Price, Don Duffy in the 9. As we bring in and welcome Bill Anderson.
Well, this is going to be a tremendous game, Ray, I'm sure. It's the rematch of the top two teams for the past few years and could go either way. I lean towards Manly mainly because of their team stability and power in the forwards, but nothing would surprise me, including a big win one way or the other.
Hegarty is parcelled up about 32 metres out from the Manly line. The tackler was Neil Hunt, and he struck for the ball in the play the ball, so it's 6 more for Manly as it's played by Carey. And this is Vorton going ahead, but it's a penalty to Parramatta. That's against the man who played the ball, Carey, for holding the marker. In fact, I was going to suggest that he didn't rake the ball back with his foot when he played it.
Yeah, Carey should know better. Referee Kevin Roberts is one of those referees that's very, very concerned about any infringements around the play the ball area, holding the marker or the person playing the ball and so on. And I'm sure that Bob Fulton would have made his players aware of this before the game.
Well, there was no question that Carey played the ball correctly, but it was that action afterwards where he held the marker that has brought the penalty. And Parramatta opting not to take the kick and, in fact, taking the tap. And Stewart rushes up, and an army of Parramatta players going with him. And then Sterling picks up the ball and is tackled, and off from dummy half is Mosley. What a big day for him, Michael Mosley, as he plays it back to Ken Stewart, and it's away to Paul Taylor, and this is Peter Wynn. Peter Wynn is about 15 metres out, and he could hand the ball off to Paul Mears, but elected not to.
Two of the young players, young Mosley for Parramatta and the fullback Hegarty for Manly, are going to be key figures in this game. There's no doubt that Manly are going to be very difficult for Parramatta if they get a good share of possession from scrums. And on the other hand, kicking is going to be one of the things that Parramatta will employ, and if Hegarty can handle that, that'll be a big bonus for Manly towards winning the match.
Played by Growth, given by Taylor to Sterling. The bomb from Sterling. Hegarty's underneath it. It's a great bomb and a chance here for the blue and golds, but it's been taken over the dead ball line by the hand of Ross Winshuttle, and it's a line drop out to restart. Here was the bomb by Sterling. It was a great kick as Dave Brown tried to charge down. Hegarty had that upright to worry about, and that's how close it was to a try for Parramatta.
He got fairly good coverage then, Hegarty, from the surrounding players, and he's going to need that. Parramatta have shown their hand. They're going to employ the big kicking game in the Manly quarter, and the Manly players are going to have to support Hegarty. It's a huge task to be able to to have to stop these kicks that Parramatta will put up.
That's a good drop kick by Hegarty, and this is Neil Hunt trying to make the split. He often does make a lot of ground from an open field run, Neil Hunt. And this is Wynn taking it ahead, looking for a rep jumper, and more than just a country jumper or a New South Wales one in 1984. To the blind for Quinn to pop it back into the centre for Duffy, and Duffy, who had a very good game for the Eels against the Eagles down at Brookvale last year, will play it back to Mosley, and to the blind to Sterling to kick ahead, and there goes Kenny on a chase with Taylor. Taylor almost got a favourable bounce, and Alan Thompson is in possession for Manly. 10 metres out from the Manly line. All the pressure has been applied by Parramatta in the opening seconds of this clash. Dummy half is Ray Brown. Manly, they won't hesitate to clear, and this is Ryan, taken low by Sterling, who apparently was in considerable doubt for this match even as recently as 9 o'clock this morning. Cleal, and Cleal away from the tackle from Ella, but he's pulled down by Paul Mears together with Quinn and Duffy. As the ball is spun to the open side for Blake to put a little grub kick through. Sterling's going to have to clean it up. He does. And he's taken by Phil Blake. And it's Sterling to play it now.
Last week in the game against Canberra, Manly coach Bob Fulton used Phil Blake in the 5'8" position and Alan Thompson out in the centres, and we haven't really seen what Fulton's prepared to do in this game. Blake then moved to the 5'8" spot, but I think he was in there really to try to use his kicking game, and that's one of the weaknesses that Manly have had in the past. They haven't had an effective kicking game, and Thompson was in the centre spot, but it's something we can look for later in this match as the game unfolds.
Across the ground goes the dummy half Brown, and it's McCabe who's tackled midway between the 22 and halfway. While Bill was talking, Steve Ella took a heavy knock and he coughed up possession, and that's how Manly come to be with it right now. Dave Brown playing it, tackled by Ray Price. Ray Brown passes to Phil Blake, standing in close to the play again and able to deliver this kicking game of his, which we saw so prominent and professional last weekend. Neil Hunt outside the 22, taken by Des Hasler.
If I had to commit myself at this stage, Ray, I'd say that Blake is in that 5'8" spot and Thompson's gone out into the centre. So Manly have had the ball for probably 3 or 4 sets of possession, and Blake's played 5'8" in any of those. We could get a change later in the match or in the second half, but at this stage, Blake's at 5'8" and Thompson in the centre.
Stewart taking a tackle, finding Kenny. Kenny slips for an opening, still going, taken by Vorton. And it's Kenny to play it, midway between the 22 and halfway on his own end of the ground. From Sterling has gone through to Quinn and on to Mayers, and Mayers is away from Cleal. He shrugs off another, then he tries to pop out the ball that was impossible, and it's a knock-on against both in a scrum. 10 metres into Parramatta's area. Parramatta front row for not arching correctly, and so the differential to be taken by Hegarty.
And even though that Alan Thompson is playing in the centre position and Blake at 5'8", we can see that he's still the architect of a lot of the Manly play. He then left his centre position. He's gone over to take this tap to put on one of the many and varied Manly set plays.
It's 2 long passes, one from Thompson and one from Blake, and then it broke down very embarrassingly. Ray Brown just juggling it long enough for the Parramatta defence to get up and snuff it out. And here's Cleal. Noel Cleal, he can destroy a team single-handedly.
Just from looking in the box, one of the things that I can detect from this high position is the fact that Manly outside, the Parramatta outside backs are very slow getting into position, filling in out wide. They've got Peter Wynn and Ken Stewart, and that's something that Coach John Mayne is going to have to work on at half-time. Otherwise, he's going to find some of these fast Manly outside backs running at his slower forwards.
Dave Brown now, playing at 32 metres up, play in centre ground. Hasler to Blake, a cut out on Thompson, it's gone to Hegarty, and he's hit hard there by Wynn and Stewart. And on the 5th and last tackle now, we find it's come out to Blake, and he gets his bomb in. Peter Wynn tried to charge it down, but he got hit by one of his own players. That was off a Manly hand. Sterling has tried to cover it up for Parramatta, and referee Roberts will tell Parramatta to play the ball just in front of their goal mouth. Sterling getting up fairly slowly, the little man, and Quinn is taken by Hasler. Mayers.
Yeah, there's not much value in that. The Parramatta players could certainly take the risk of only 1 or 2 passes, even on their own line. That's far better play than by Parramatta. They took it 1 pass and they're able to get the ball 5 or 6 metres upfield. Running from dummy half against the double marker situation is virtually useless on your own line.
Sterling, they're going to have to kick now. That's 5. Here's Ella. And it's straight down the centre, but Windshuttle is scurrying across and getting under it. Oh, he's put it down, Windshuttle. Roberts has ruled the knock on. And very disappointed Ross Windshuttle as he puts it down. The scrum is to pack just into Manly's area. No score. 17 minutes gone, the NEC big game between Parramatta and Manly. Fed by Sterling, won by the Eels. It's with Taylor. Taylor's galloped into a big space. Taylor's inside the 32-metre line. It's with Brett Kenny now. He's up to the 22 and parcelled up by Alan Thompson. Quinn is the dummy half. To the blind side goes Ray Price. Not tackled. Now he is. About 15 metres out. Playing it back to little Paul Taylor, who's strode into that big gap. This is Mosley. 8 metres out. That's the 3rd tackle for the Eels. Taylor again a dummy half. Now Sterling switched to Stewart. Stewart goes to Vorton, but Vorton takes him, passes him up, ball and all. Peter Wynn now comes open side. Gonna try it himself. He's put down on 5. and told to play it. Sterling's the player to watch. Wynn taps it ahead, puts a hand on it. I think it's a try. Roberts, I believe. Has given the try. Peter Wynn kicking the ball in any direction from the play the ball, which one can do, and then appeared to be held off the ball, but then with downward pressure got a hand to it. Roberts took a look at his touch judges and then awarded a try to Peter Wynn. What was flashing through my mind with that try for Peter Wynn was the sort of a penalty try. And where Kevin awarded the try and Ella has missed the conversion, it's 4-0 in favour of Parramatta. 4-0 in the NEC big game. So the restart by Steve Hegarty, going down to Peter Sterling with the Eels leading 4-0. Bringing it out is Neil Hunt. Again was able to make the break.
Gee, I've seen him do that a lot of times, running the ball back from kickoffs. He selects that he's going to run between two players. The players either side of him when he's hitting the ball up tend to hold off, and they're obviously thinking they might cannon into one another or that the other player's going to make a tackle, and he makes numerous breaks from that position.
Play now just 10 metres on the Eels side of halfway. It's Sterling turning it back up the middle for Duffy. Duffy to Mears. Over the halfway, support. He's run away from them. Now Ella's picked up the play. Ella now taken by Phil Blake. 22 metres out from the Manly line. The Eels at the moment doing their new coach Johnny Money proud. Brett Kenny says to Growth, go inside, please. And Growth does that. He's tackled 22 metres out on number 5. Quinn. Sterling. Sterling kicking ahead, Vorton going back, and Growth is flying, but it's been covered up by Alan Thompson, and a line drop out to restart.
It's generally accepted that the way of beating Manly, apart from putting them on the ground when you're in defence, is to use a kick and bustle game, and Parramatta are certainly employing that. Almost every time they've had the ball in their set of 6, they've used a kick somewhere. They're bustling in defence, and they're doing a good job here of holding Manly. This game's still very, very much open, but Parramatta looking good in the early stages.
Line drop out by Hegarty.
Let's go, honey!
And Hunt it is who's going to take it back again. We've already seen how dangerous he can be running from play such as that. He seems to be able to squeeze out of almost any situation. And this is Stewart. Sterling. Win. Midway 22 halfway on the Manly end of the paddock. Sterling, the run around with Mosley. And Mosley, a busy little player, put to ground as Taylor gives it away to Sterling. Sterling runs to the open side. Price is held 22 metres out. Held by Blake and Cleal. Stewart, Sterling, and up goes the bomb from the Eels. The runners are there. Hegarty's underneath it. It's an awful bomb for him to take. Oh! He just got it over that dead ball line. But these bombs that Sterling is putting up, believe me, he's using every square inch of the uprights to give Hegarty even a bigger headache. And he's pinpointing them down. And Steve Hegarty is having a nightmare behind the Manly uprights in the opening 20 minutes.
Parramatta are making a lot of breaks against this Manly defence, and I can't help but think that one of the problems that Manly are having is they're playing 2 markers and a cover defender and a fullback back. Now, that only gives them a line of 9 players, and when you're playing against a team such as Parramatta that are obviously going to spread the ball, they're going to use their fast outside backs as often as they possibly can, I don't know that a defensive line of 9's enough. I'd be inclined to go back to 1 marker and a cover defender and give myself a defensive line of 10.
This is McCabe now. Played back to Ray Brown, switched to the open side for Blake to clear. And it's a good kick by Blake. It's between Sterling and the winger Growth, and Sterling had to scurry that last few metres, and he's just outside his 22. He's going to try and beat them himself. He's got Kenny. Kenny's with him. Sterling's got around the wind shuttle, but he hasn't the pace to get away from the Manly wing three-quarter. But it was a good run by Sterling. It brought the crowd to their feet. It's gone to Taylor, and now to Growth. And Growth is hit by McCabe and wind shuttle. And a final swinging arm went in there. The crowd roared. Robert saw it, said play on. Mears hits it up. Vorton takes him low, stands. Back to Mosley. Mosley's 32 metres out now from the Manly line in centre ground. Played back to Stewart. This is Taylor. And Quinn has put it down. And the referee is going to play the knock-on. Pressure of a big game such as this one, it's coming out in the games of a couple of players. Just unable to hold that ball at vital moments as Manly appear as though they're going to win it. Well, yes, they have, but it's a penalty to them anyway. A penalty to Manly. And the referee is indicating a loose arm in the scrum. 4-0 to the Eels. That's Dave Brown injured. Eric Growth. Paul Taylor. Sterling look away.
Yeah, Paul Taylor's a fellow that, to my mind, will be selected in one of those city sides tonight, and he's done a tremendous job for Parramatta over the last couple of seasons as a fullback. He's a bit unconventional, but he does the job.
Kick for line by Hegarty was a good one. 30 metres out now. The tap to be taken by Ray Brown. The Eagles are trailing by 4-0 as it goes out to Ryan. Low tackle by Duffy. Up the top was Ray Price. Away from dummy half Brown. Then the switch back to Hasler. Then it's with Paul Vorton now. Cleo. Low tackle by Taylor. Sterling held the big man down. Hasler and Blake now working together, and Hasler on the run round is tackled around the bootlaces by Quinn.
And Blake is at that 5'8" spot full time now for Manly.
Cleo. Close. Sterling's got him low. Over the top is Mosley. They're on the 22 line. Last tackle coming up for the Eagles. Blake. The bomb. There's not much pressure there for Kenny. And he's away from Thompson. Wind shuttle's got him. He's got it back to Ray Price to go ahead another 10, 15, 20 metres. That bomb from Blake didn't carry the pressure that we've seen applied by Peter Sterling in contrast. Stewart. Mears. Duffy. Not hitting that ball up hard there in that particular passage. Sterling. Quinn. Must have been terribly close to a shepherd. Mears bumps them off and gets the pass to Sterling. Sterling away to Kenny. Kenny's got through an opening. Now he's found big Eric Growth. He's away from one. Back inside to Kenny. There's a try coming. Wally wins into the clear. Will he make it? I don't think so. Win tackle by Hasler. 7 metres out after we'd seen some of the magic of Brett Kenny. This is Ella. Ella still going. He's down. That's a turnover.
Well, there we saw some magic from Peter Sterling. What a wonderful ball he got away. He slipped it under the arm of a defender, and that allowed Parramatta to take on the play. Wynn was pulled down from behind by Hasler, and that stop would have been a certain try for Parramatta under the posts.
This is McCabe now. Vorton. Price around the ankles. Mosley over the top on the Manly 22 line. From Blake, it's gone to Hasler. Wynn just didn't have the pace, Peter Wynn. Phil Blake to clear. He's been in a similar situation, I'd say about 5 times in the match so far. And here's Neil Hunt bringing it back. And oh dear. Carey went in with what appeared to be a forearm to the face of Hunt. It went unchecked. Mosley playing it now. It's away to Sterling. A short ball to Taylor. And they've got a penalty right in front of the uprights, but they are 32 metres out. Inside the 5 is the order, as Manly's coach Bob Fulton sends a reserved to the sidelines, Cole Dreyer in jumper number 24. So Fulton has made the replacement. Ross Windshuttle has been replaced by Cole Dreyer.
Cole Dreyer will have the awesome task of marking Eric Growth. I hope he's a good defender.
Well, there's been a couple of big runs made down that flank that Ross Windshuttle was on. And that's more than likely the reason that Fulton has made this change. Steve Ella with a chance to make it 6-0. He missed an easier one than this in trying to convert the try scored by Peter Wynn. This one looks good. Flags are in the air. Parramatta leading Manly by 6 points to 0. You're watching the NEC big game. Parramatta 22. Quinn, Mears, looking to pass and eventually taking the tackle of McCabe and Ray Brown. It's Taylor. It's the kick in. It's going out on the full, is it? No, it's been taken inches inside the touchline by Cole Dreyer. And he comes to Brett Kenny and is put down.
And that was a good chase by Kenny to make that tackle on Dreyer. Parramatta are a side that I believe do what I call the disciplines of football well. They chase kicks well, they fall on loose balls, they win a few scrums against the head, they hit the ball up hard, and those things, they're not patterns of football, but they're the disciplines of football, and very often they're the things that are the difference between winning and losing.
This is Brown, the front rower. Just looking at some of the Manly big men, it was suggested that a lot of kicking would take place in this Parramatta game plan. Put down by Chris Close. This will be a play on ball for Growth. I was just watching some of the big men getting back after that kick in general play that we just saw Cole Dreyer take, and honestly they were still coming back just before this passage of play that you're now watching.
And this fellow that's got the ball, Mosley, he's a newcomer into the Parramatta side, but gee, he scavenges after the ball. He's like a shearer's dog. He follows everything. He's there to take a pass from anyone that makes a break, and he's filled in very well for Stephen Edge and then Ken Stewart since he's been moved to the prop position.
Michael Mosley away now to Peter Sterling. And it's Sterling who's tackled about 8 metres into Manly's area.
Now we can see here Parramatta working up what is their pattern of play. They're getting the ball towards the centre of the field. Their outside backs are starting to fan on either side, and they'll then have a selection of hitting whichever way they want to go.
Mears is about 12 metres into Manly's area. Wynn stooges away from dummy half and makes a good break, and he gives an awful ball down to Ken Stewart. And it's going to be Hegarty to play the ball for Manly, about 12 metres out from his own line. It's a good break by Wynn, but then he just undoes a lot of good work, Peter, by sometimes throwing the ridiculous ball.
Yeah, I think Peter's a good footballer. He does have that flaw in his game, and I also think he'd be a better footballer if he could learn to beat his man on the inside as well as the outside. He's a little predictable, and he always tries to use a fend and go round his man, and he'd be a better player if he could get a step in his game and come back inside as well.
Cleal now, just inside the Manly 22. Ray Brown. Long ball out to Vaughton. Vaughton decides to try and split them himself, but the Parramatta defence there is holding hard, holding tight. Away to Phil Blake, and he gives it off to Des Hasler as Taylor came through for the charge down. Hasler draws them, gets it to Alan Thompson. Thompson is beautifully tackled over there by Ken Stewart. It was a good tackle by a front row forward. He must have covered a lot of ground to get there, unless he was resting out there. It's with Mosley now.
While all this is happening, Mark Laurie's on the sideline. Earlier in the game, Don Duffy went down injured in the in-goal area, and I'd say that he'd be the man that John Mooney would be looking to replace. So it'll be Laurie on for Duffy.
This is Duffy at dummy half, giving a little pass to Peter Wynn and hobbling after it, in fact, Duffy. He's, I think, done an ankle or a knee. It's come to Ray Price. He kicks. It's gone straight up and down. Up they go for it, and it's with Chris Close. Well, and it's pulled down by Duffy.
No doubt that Parramatta have decided the way to beat Manly is to use a kicking game against them. Every set of 6, they're using the kicks and they're getting success with them, so why change it?
Second tackle for the Eagles. Ray Brown. Ryan, he's put it down. Mosley's gone away with it for Parramatta. He's tackled just outside the 22 line, however. Manly regrouping now in defence. Stewart's pass, a long one to Duffy. Out to Mears. Mears taken by Vaughton. And Duffy is living a dummy half. Goes to Peter Wynn now. He's outside the 22.
Graham Richards, the strapper for Parramatta's, had to go on and physically drag him off the field.
So play now with Brett Kenny. Out to Paul Taylor. Now to Ray Price. Price dummies and then looks to pass, and it's going to be taken on the volley by on the half volley, and it's given to Peter Wynn, and that's the fourth tackle gone for the blue and golds. Ron Quinn, long ball to Peter Sterling, even longer pass to Mosley, inside for Laurie. Laurie is tackled and put down about 12 metres out from the Manly line, and no doubt Peter Sterling will now put the bomb up, or the grub, or maybe the run. He's decided to grub, and it's a try, is it? I think it is, but to who? Brett Kenny has scored. Brett Kenny keeps up an almost monotonous regularity of tries against the Eagles. Well, Peter Sterling's the man that's destroying them. I know Brett's getting plenty of raps, but this little fellow, he is, without any doubt, in my opinion, the best in the world at his profession.
Well, we said that Parramatta had employed the big kicking game against Manly, and there is no better team, no better kicking game in Sydney than Parramatta. Wonderful kick there by Sterling, and look at the skill of Brett Kenny. You can't coach that, you can't teach that. That's tremendous football.
Parramatta zooming out to lead now by 10 points to 0. Thanks to that man, Brett Kenny, touching down and playing his 100th first grade game. Steve Ella taking the conversion attempt of the try scored by Brett Kenny. I was reading Don Ferner's rep side in the telly this morning. He also thinks Brett Kenny should be fullback.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's fair to Brett Kenny. To my mind, he's one of the best 5'8" and centres in the world, and why take him out of there and make it easy on Wally Lewis?
There's the conversion attempt, unsuccessful from Steve Ella. Scoreline remains Parramatta 10, Manly no score.
Unsuccessful attempted goal by Steve Ella.
Let's see that try again from a different camera angle. It was Mosley giving it to Sterling, and he had everybody guessing, including the commentators, quite obviously. Was it to be the bomb? Was it to be the grubber kicker, or was it going to be the actual run? But it was the grubber, and it was Kenny getting around Vorton. Look at little Quinn. He was in there hungry for points, but you've got to be very hungry to be there in time for breakfast in front of B. Kenny.
He's done it again.
Hunter's busted them again. That's Quinn. That's Ella. Long ball. It's off the hand of Kenny and backwards. Scooped away by Laurie. Ferrari Growth. Downfield for Kenny. Kenny gives it to Hasler for Manly. The crowd goes back to their seats.
Well, that man Hunt did it again. From the kick-off, he selected the ball, picked it up off the ground, made a tremendous break of 45, 50 metres downfield, slipped the pass. Ultimately, it went to Growth on the sideline. Growth made a long break downfield, and only good covering work by Hasler saved another Parramatta try. But I can't help but comment, Ray, that some of the Manly forwards are walking. Parramatta are making a lot of yardage, hitting it up 2 and 3 rucks down the blind side where the players are loafing, and Bob Fulton's got a lot of work to do at half-time if Manly are going to get back into this one.
Alan Thompson working in closer to the ruck now. McCabe takes it up, and he's met by Mayers and also by Mosley. But the Parramatta machine is in full gear. Well, he's ordering a scrum. I thought, to be honest with you, that the man was offside.
Well, it looked that way from here.
I know it did. I'm just wondering, I think Kevin may have indicated he didn't play at the ball, to be honest with you. So it's fed by Sterling and won by Manly. Oh, look at this Manly side now. They look to be playing lethargically, and a lot of the credit must be given to the effervescence, if you like, the enthusiasm in the Parramatta attack. But Manly, they are a much better side than we're watching at the moment.
We can see that Bob Fulton's made a tactical change. Blake has gone back out into the centres, and obviously he's looking for more organisation around the rucks. He's looking for some stiffening in defence, and Alan Thompson's been moved back into that all-important 5'8" spot, and that's where Parramatta have been doing a lot of damage.
Dummy half kill by Mark Laurie. That's the second tackle as Mosley turns it up the middle for big Paul Mayers to turn it down on a hit and spin to Mosley, and then Price has put it down with a try on. So the scrum will go down just outside the Manly uprights, and touch judges in from both sides of the ground. Mike Ryan is running the line nearest to us. He was in there immediately to report to Kevin Roberts. Paul Mayers is the man who's been on the receiving end of one. Let's have a look at Mersey. Can we pick him up on a camera? Well, he's going into the scrum. Roberts has taken the touch judge's instructions and said play on now with the scrum, and Hasler is tackled, and it's with Thompson. Back now to Hegarty, and he's met by Taylor and Mayers. Mayers bleeding from the mouth as the siren sounds. There's the end of the first 40 minutes. And a complete half of football dominated by Parramatta. But 10-0, there it is on your screen. The NEC big game resumes on the other side of these commercials. Welcome back to the second half of the NEC big game. The first try came after 17 minutes. Peter Wynn, the try scorer. I think the referee may have even been thinking that if he didn't get that ball down with downward pressure, that he may have given a penalty try. But this was the try at the 35th minute. It was the grubber kick through by Peter Sterling. Brett Kenny was first in the race for the ball, and Parramatta, with one goal kicked by Steve Ella, lead by 10 points to 0. We start now to the second half of the action. Welcome back, Manly and Parramatta, with Neil Hunt tackled about 5 or 6 metres inside his quarter line.
And this next 15 minutes is going to be the danger time for Parramatta. If Manly can sneak a try on the board and possibly convert it, they'll then be within striking distance and they'll have the confidence to go on with this. But if Parramatta can shut them out for the next 15 minutes, they've got this game in their keeping. But something we should look for in this second half, Ray, is going to be Peter Sterling's not going to go the full distance. He came into this game with a virus, and Parramatta coach John Mooney kept young, the ex-Balmain player, young Gary Mara, who's a halfback. He played him in third grade today so they could have him fresh for the first grade fixture when Sterling's got to leave the field.
Hasler, drive. And that's a good tackle by Mosley. Done plenty of work, this Parramatta hooker. Vorton. Play towards the halfway line. Thompson, Hasler, Cleal. Turned inside for Hasler to sneak through an opening, and it's a big opening, and he's gone down to the 22. Oh, Chris Close has overrun him. But that's a good run by Des Hasler. He's playing it just outside the 22 line, from Thompson to Ryan, now to Ray Brown. McCabe was coming hard. That's Vorton with the ball. Now it's Blake. This is Kerry. Kerry going back inside. Oh, he's got Kenny to beat. Passes, and it was McCabe who put it down. Kenny comes away with it. Kenny's going up the touch line, away from Dave Brown. Ella's coming up on the inside. He has to stop and jink, and he might have just lost his footing for a stride, and Hegarty makes the tackle.
For the life of me, I'll never know why Carey just never set sail then for the goalposts. There was defence coming across, but he had enough free space to be able to work some of the skills that he's got. He can stand a man up, and instead of looking to pass, I feel he would have been better served to take them on his own.
Laurie now to play it, playing it back to Mike Mosley. Mosley goes himself, makes about 7 metres, and now players in centre field, 25 out from the Manly line.
Yeah, we can see here that the Parramatta have got the fan of the back line on either sides, and they'll select which way they want to go.
Mayers. And a penalty to Parramatta. Penalty to Parramatta. It's already been given. Mayers is being told by the referee, you play the football, let me referee it. And he's pinching Ray Brown for stealing the ball. And this is a kick right in front for Steve Ella.
And there's been a change while all this is happening. Ian Barclay has gone onto the field to replace Paul McCabe. That's Ian Barclay, the former Eastern Suburbs player.
Kick by Ella, straight between the uprights, flags in the air. Parramatta leading by 12 points to 0, and that's a very valuable goal, that one kicked by Steve Ella.
Yes, and if Parramatta can work their way back down into the Manly quarter again, wouldn't a field goal be invaluable? It would just give them that cushion. They then have to score 3 times Manly to get back in front.
Kick out by Hegarty. And Ella has put it back to Manly. That's a good ball for the Eagles. It was a great kick by Hegarty. He gave it plenty of height. and it was only coming down about 15 metres into Parramatta's territory, giving the chasers plenty of time to get down there.
And it was also into the sun, which made it doubly difficult for the Parramatta receivers.
Vorton trying to get a ball away. It's been picked up by Ray Brown, and now it's with Dave Brown. He comes to win, holds him off with one arm, but he's taken by Mayers. And it's played just outside the Parramatta 22. Out through Thompson to Hasler. Long ball out wide to Cleo. Cleo got away from the little 5'8". He's away from Kenny. He's beaten another. Dropped the ball. Knock on. Scrum to go down. Manly just unable to build up any pressure. Thompson, cut out ball. Glenn Ryan takes it ahead, but underneath him and driving was P. Sterling, Esquire. And now this is Ian Barclay. Came to Manly from eastern suburbs, one of many Roosters. Who went over with Bobby Fulton, likes to run the ball wide. It's now Vorton, Cleo, getting inside one, stepping out of another, out of a third, and that's a good run by Cleo. That's twice he's handled in the second half, and both times he's looked very dangerous. It's gone from Ray Brown to Alan Thompson, holds the pass back, takes it to the 22, gets the pass to Des Hasler. The crowd roar for a Shepherd. It's gone back to Close. Close is into an opening. He's 10 metres out, loses his footing, gets up, goes again. That's a good strong run by Chris Close. 5 tackles gone for the Eagles.
Gee, it's onto the left here if Manly can spread the ball quickly.
Blind side to Ray Brown, might go himself. Oh, Hegarty snatched at it, and Parramatta's come up with it. Well, the Eagles can't do anything right here today. Ella taken by Dreyer. That was a very simple case of hitting the blind side where Manly had 3 men, Parramatta had 2, and they couldn't execute that with the professionalism we know they can. Mayers, oh dear, that was a hit and a half. Close over the top. Thompson was underneath. Big Mayers went down. I didn't think he'd get up, but he bounced up like a rubber ball. Growth. Sterling getting the kick down to Hegarty.
Yeah, if we could just have a look at the way Manly use up their tackles early in this tackle count. To my mind, they haven't been making full use of their 6 tackles by backing up on the early tackles. Now we can see they've taken one from dummy half, another one from dummy half. Now let's have a look how they use up this 6. Another one from dummy half, then an offload. Now that's the first pass in 3 tackles.
Played by Carey, back to Thompson. With Hasler, Gordon, Ryan, across the ground. Blake comes back up the centre. There's the opening. Now he turns it across to Cleo. Half volley take away from Stewart. Mosley went in to make the tackle, and all he did really was had a clash of heads there with Stewart. Brown taken from dummy half. Barclay goes after it, still can't handle it. Now he's got it, and the referee's going to play the knock-off.
In the past, Manly have been the masters of standing in tackles, offloading the ball and playing that light ball game where they're able to just keep the ball alive. But today we haven't seen that, and the reason we haven't is purely because the backer up, the person who should be trailing, hasn't been there. The players with the ball have been prepared to offload, but there's been no support.
Sterling diving on the ball at the scrum base. Taylor, Quinn, Ella. Now it's Growth. Growth trying to get back inside, but he's been fairly well shut down out there today. Windshuttle was replaced early in the match. He had a bit of a headache with him, but he's been fairly well contained, Eric. I do expect that he's going to explode into this match very shortly. Growth. Taylor, ridden to the ground by Ray Brown and Paul Vorton. Players about 10 metres to the Parramatta side. Sterling, and that's Mark Laurie. And Glenn Ryan has been able to pluck it out of the air and take defence into attack for Manly. Mosley the tackler. Non-stop effort from this little fellow. Across now to Brown. Long ball out to Thompson. A short one for Hasler. Now to Blake. Blake draws Ella. Gets it to Hegarty. Hegarty's to the 22 line. Diving tackle by the 21 Mark Laurie. Copybook stuff. Carey. This is Barclay. Taken by Wynn, pops it down to Des Hasler. Hasler looks for the line. It's about 5 metres in front of him. Dummy half was Barclay. Blake goes back to the blind side. Up the centre for Hegarty. And Hegarty is held a few metres out. 4 tackles gone against the maroon and whites now. 12-0 in favour of Parramatta.
Noel Clell tried to set himself for a run off that last play of the ball, but it was a very poor play of the ball and a poor pass, and the timing was way off. But he's the danger man. He's the man that could do something for Manly from this area.
Here's Vorton. 5 tackles now gone for Manly. Blake. Up goes his bomb. It's a good one. The sun is in the eyes of Brett Kenny. The bounce was bad. It's still a chance for the Eagles, and raked over the dead ball line by Brett Kenny. I'm wondering just which point in that progression there did Kevin Roberts choose to rule that this ball should come back for the line dropout. The bomb was a beauty by Phil Blake. Peter Sterling's hurt his hand, but there it was, a clean bounce down. Vorton couldn't take it. Players all over the place trying to take it, and eventually Kenny raked it over the dead ball line.
I'm glad I didn't have to make a decision on that one.
Well, there you go. That's the trouble the referee has trying to rule on bombs. That's a big line dropout. It bounced right between players, and it's gone down to the Manly 22. Let's see how the Parramatta chase is. Barclay has tackled 5 metres his side of the halfway, which will give you some indication of how big a drop kick it must have been. Penalty to Manly now. Parramatta inside the 5. 12-0 in favour of the Eels. Ryan, Carey's tackle by Hunt. Ray Brown. Dave Brown. Tackler was Mosley. Ray Brown comes away with it now. Taken around the legs by Paul Taylor. Over the top by Mears. Mosley is down injured in the back play for the Parramatta side. Ahead goes Chris Close. Oh, that's an enthusiastic run by the big fellow. He and Cleal have made a couple of inroads in their second half, suggesting that the flame hasn't gone out for Manly yet. That's foul. Tackle number 5 now for Chris Close. He's 5 metres out from the line as it comes out to Blake. On to Thompson. Over it goes to big Cleal. Cleal is thumping it up. Gets the pass around the corner for Ryan. That's a try to Manly. Well executed. Everything was done according to plan. And Glenn Ryan has scored for the Eagles. Wide out to make the score 12-4. The replay from head on. Long ball by Blake. Similar pass by Thompson. Looking for this fellow to come into the back line, Cleal. And he gave a beautiful ball to Ryan, who simply had to run and put it down for the Eagles to come right back into this match now.
Well, how many times in the past have we seen the alternative on the 6th tackle to kicking the ball, running the ball, coming up with a try, and here it is again. Quick hands by Manly along their line. The ball finally gets to Cleal. He gets a good pass away. He tipped that over the top to Glenn Ryan. Manly always had the numbers, and all Ryan had to do was to catch it and go on with the job, which he did.
A very difficult kick for Hegarty to convert Glenn Ryan's try. He's only 2 metres in from touch as we watch his preparation now. Just outside the quarter. It'll be a very good kick. Hegarty looks good. Now he's hooked it away. The natural hook of the ball for the right foot round the corner kicker. And the scoreline remains at 12 points to 4 in favour of Parramatta. You're watching the NEC Big Game. Ella sending it deep into the Manly territory for Carey to take it out. And again, the first up tackler front on was Mosley. Hasler trying to scurry out of there. Tackled by Taylor. Sterling is back, resting at full back at the moment. I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's still in the game, Sterling. Mears is hurt. It comes to Close now.
But if you didn't have a fullback of the calibre and of the working qualities of Paul Taylor, then Parramatta wouldn't be able to afford that luxury of putting Sterling back. But they're very fortunate to have a player such as Taylor that can move from the fullback spot up into the front line and do his share of the work.
Another bust by Manly. Blake with the kick ahead. Blake's catching Hunt with stride by stride, but Hunt has cleaned it up. Now he's up and trying to turn it into attack. He has. He's had a magic game, Neil Hunt. But a good effort by Phil Blake. Growth now. Quinn. 12-4 in favour of Parramatta. Paul Mears is getting back gamely into position after he took a very heavy hit. Peter Wynn. The crowd groans as the impact of that tackle on Wynn becomes a reality. Mosley scurries out of the dummy half position. 25 metres out from his own line. Quinn. Once referred to in most discussions, Ron Quinn, as Michael Cronin's travelling companion, but these days he's earned his own rightful place in first-grade football, and ironically deputising for the same Michael Cronin. This is Hegarty getting a ball down for Hasler. He's gone around, but Mark Laurie is there to make the hit together with Kenny, and Hasler will play it just outside his 22 line. This man is Barclay. Legs is Stewart in 13. Mayers, I don't really think Mayers knows where he is at the moment. He's out there just running around as a number. Stan Jerd, one of many Parramatta players, watching from the sidelines with a knee injury. In fact, Stan cracked a joke to me before the game. He's still able to smile. He said, if you haven't got crutches in this camp, you're out of fashion. This is Barclay. Tackler was Price. Brown keeps up the rap for Manly. Cut down by Taylor. How many tackles has this bloke made? Out to Thompson. Long, long ball. Out to Hegarty. And is taken by Mosley and Mayers. Play midway, 22 halfway on the Parramatta end as Cleal tries to go from dummy half. And Paul Taylor is hurt in that, trying to tackle Cleal. This is Brown turning it back to Mosley. And it was just as well for Parramatta that he was there, because Manly were again brewing up. I'm not joking, there are so many of these players out there through the binoculars who are walking wounded. Taylor, Mosley, Mayers, they're all out there just doing their best, but I think Mooney's got to make some changes. He's got to bring on some defence men. Taylor, now, Growth is into open pasture. He's got 25 to go, the defence has got him. Not held into touch. Good work, Steve Hegarty. That's not an easy job.
That's the biggest job that any fullback can be confronted with. Eric Growth with 40 metres of space to work in. He knew how to use it. He really belted down the sideline. But Hegarty came across, didn't have any worry about his own regard, and pushed Growth over the sideline.
Did he belt Hegarty when he came across? He went for the fend and the shoulder and the hip and everything, Growth. And Hegarty got the full impact of it, but he was still able to drive the big man into touch. Manly winning the scrum. Thompson, close. Close getting away from one, stepping through a second, getting away from Price, picked up by Quinn. Close and Cleal. Every time they handle, they spell danger, and danger with a capital D in the second half. Here's Phil Blake now. Caught by Kenny. Beautiful tackle by Kenny. Players 5 metres from the halfway line as it goes out to Alan Thompson. Long ball out to Ray Brown. Goodness, is he wide. Ryan, Cleal, throws the dummy, gets inside. Gets the pass around now to Hegarty. Hegarty looks to pass but opts against it.
One's just getting the feeling that Manly are working their way right back into this game. Parramatta, as Ray's mentioned, a lot of the players are showing the signs of tiredness, and here we can see another break by Manly.
Oh, blatantly forward. Well, there's Hasler. Ian Barclay almost had given himself up to the referee when Hasler, and you can see where Roberts was. The ball was passed to a man standing in an offside position. Steve Ella taking the line kick. Parramatta leading by 12-4. 20 minutes to go. Sterling, Stewart, Price is out with Wynn. Across now for Ella. They're crabbing across the ground as Ella tries to straighten it. Peter Wynn puts his hands up. Where are we going? That indicates to me that Peter Sterling was not behind the ruck, and that's because Sterling is running out of breath and fast. In fact, Peter's out around about outside centre at the moment. He can't even get to the point to call the play. Stewart is the dummy half now.
And Sterling's worth his weight in gold if he does nothing else but that. You know, it's such a bonus to have a player that will just get in around the rucks and direct the traffic for you. Even if he can't do a lot himself, just to be able to direct the other players in the right way is worth, as I said, worth its weight in gold.
Sterling with the ball. He'll give it to Steve Ella. 32 metres out. Hits it. Getting away. No goal from Ella. But he has managed to kick it dead, so it'll come out for the 22. Drop out by the Sea Eagles. They're trailing by 8 points. Well, I can't recall the last game of football I saw where two performances have done a complete reversal. Parramatta were on fire in the first half. They seem to have come out with a disease that Manly must have had in the first half, and Manly has started to put things together better in the second stanza, with Cleland close particularly looking very dangerous. Played by Dreyer. It's out to Hegarty, now to Hasler. Ryan comes up, sort of hesitates as he comes to Dave Brown, who is standing offside, and it's being played by Ryan, the try scorer for Manly. Brown to Hasler. Hasler trying to step, but Mosley's got him around the legs.
I just can't help but think that at times there mustn't be calls around the Manly ruck, because on many occasions we've seen the dummy half of Manly just undecided as to what side of the ruck he's going to send the ball, and that's got to be a lack of communication from first and second receivers.
Thompson turning it back to Cleal. Cleal is away from Taylor, but he got a pass away. That's a good ball by Cleal. This is Barclay taking it downfield, then an awful pass picked up by Cleal, and the big fellow is now held by the Parramatta defence about 9 metres into Parramatta's area. Players out there dragging themselves to their feet as Blake puts on a bit of light stepping, takes it to the 22, good ball to Ryan, they're going to score again, the Eagles. Thompson's going in for his third try in 2 weeks. Alan Thompson scores for the Eagles, wide out, 12 minutes to go, and 12-8 the scoreline. This was the try. It was Phil Blake, the destroyer. He got between the defence and then gave a nice ball to Glenn Ryan, forever backing up. All he had to do was catch and pass, and Thompson headed for the corner and plunged in for the try.
For the second time in this match, Manly elected to run the ball on the sixth tackle. Blake faked a kick, then took off on his own. He found he had support inside in the form of Glenn Ryan. Ryan headed towards his closest man, and that's a good tactic if you haven't got support immediately with you. Thompson set sail for the corner post, and he scored this one in a position it's a difficult kick for Hegarty, but he's on the right side of the field for him.
5/8, Alan Thompson playing his 250th game for Manly today, scoring a try. Brett Kenny playing his 100th. He also scored a try. And Thompson, as captain, talking to his players as Hegarty lines up this attempted conversion. A conversion that could easily see Manly take the 2 premiership points. Hits it. He's got plenty of height, coming around beautifully onto that head on camera, but just grazing the outside of the uprights. No goal. So Manly needs a try to level, and of course a conversion or a drop goal to win it after having done that. 12-8 in favour of the Eels at Belmore. Vella, the restart. Still can't quite fathom why Coach Money hasn't made some changes to this Parramatta line. Hunt the tackler on Hegarty. 22 is Ian Barclay. Ryan. Inside and between.
That Parramatta defence is starting to look a little fragile around the fringe of the rucks, and maybe John Mooney doesn't think he's got players in his reserve grade capable of going on and doing a job for him, and he's happy with the players he's got. But if there is anyone on the bench at all that can put together 3 or 4 tackles for him, I'm sure that the players that are on the field would really get some relief.
Cleal has been standing like a colossus out there in the second half. He's been the absolute destroyer. Parramatta haven't an answer to the big fellow. They come up with a lucky ball now as Mark Laurie plays it. Mosley has toiled all day. I'd love to have a readout on Mosley and Taylor's tackle counts. It's with Sterling and now Ella. Ella's leg has been buckled underneath the tackler. He may not... He's okay, but that's the most dangerous of all tackles when it comes to that knee or that ankle injury. Mosley to play it now. Parramatta probably slowing it down. And here it's with Sterling. He tries to puncture the defence himself. He's been conspicuous by his absence in the second half. Drop goal attempt by Taylor. Looks sweet. He's got it, Taylor. 13 points to 8 in favour of Parramatta. Drop goal to that man, Paul Taylor. Tackle's gone. Mike Blake is getting ready for Manly to come on. As it comes out to Tomo. Oh, the pass was too hard. Hasler can't take it. Parramatta's got it. Peter Wynn gives it to Paul Mayers. Mayers is tackled. Manly trailing by 5. Looking as though they've got enough petrol to win it if they can get the ball. But that's the problem at the moment. Getting it and holding it. Neil Hunt to play it now. Centre ground. They might even set themselves for another go at the drop goal. Stewart will play it back to Michael Mosley now. Off he goes, the little hooker. It's a big run. 15 metres on the 4th tackle. Dummy half is Sterling. Taylor is first man to the right of the ruck. And it's gone to Taylor. He decides to run it. He gets around 1 and he's pulled down 5 metres out. So Sterling's behind to play the ball. Peter Wynn is the dummy half. He decides he'll run. Passes to Price. Price will score! Ray Price a try. Adjacent to the uprights. Just when the electric Eels look like the fuses had all blown, they've struck back to parcel up this first encounter of the 84 season against their arch rivals with a try by Captain Courageous, Raymond Price. Peter Wynn, long ball, beautifully directed, running the ball on the 6th tackle again. And Price picks up the try.
Parramatta players, Manly players hesitated here, waiting for the kick. Peter Wynn headed across field and found Ray Price, and what a great reward for Price, captaining Parramatta in this match.
Well, there he is, a veteran of many union and rugby league games. Steve Ella, 2 from 5. He's only just got it. My goodness. The scoreline, Parramatta 19, Manly 8. Paul Horton is off. Michael Blake is on. In jumper 16, the Hegarty kick-off is another great kick, and it's a knock-on by Ray Price. So twice now Hegarty has kicked off in the second half into the sun from Parramatta's viewpoint, of course. And twice Manly have come up with the ball or a chance to get it back. And that they've done. As it comes out the back of the scrum, and it's away to Alan Thompson. Now to Chris Close. He dances around Brett Kenny, goes back into Ron Quinn. And he'll play it midway between the 22 and halfway on Parramatta's end of the field. Hasler to Ryan. Ryan taken by Stewart and by Taylor. Hasler, Thompson, the run around for Hasler, and then fed back to Thompson, now to Blake, Michael. That was Hasler, now Phillip. And the chip by Blake, this will be a knock-on unless Parramatta gets it. They have. Neil Hunt has done some good things here for Parramatta today, and he was in the right spot at the right time just then. Wynn, one-handed to Kenny, and Kenny is parcelled up by Barclay and Carey. Dummy half Price. Taylor, Sterling, Mansfield. Youngster, then Mansfield. Sterling. In fact, I did an interview with John Mooney at the start of the year about the Premiership defending champion side's chances in '84, and I said, give me a name to go out on with the interview that people might be hearing a lot more about during '84, and he said Mansfield, and that's where we ended the interview. And so he's got a big rap on him already, this fellow, Glenn Mansfield. Putting a scrum down. 12 metres on the Parramatta side of halfway. Kevin Roberts has had a good game here today. And here's a penalty going to Manly, and that's against the Parramatta pack for not packing a square, in fact trying to force it towards the touchline, and in fact closer to the ball. 19-8 Parramatta. with 3 tries to 2. Dave Brown, the match very much played in 2 halves, with Parramatta dominating the first and Manly looking very dangerous in the second. It's out with Cleo. Cleo gets inside one, gets inside another, and he's been doing this regularly during the second half. Hasler is tackled just outside the quarter. Taylor is clutching at a gash to his face. There's blood on his hands as he tries to stem it as the try is boiling up for Manly. And Carey did tremendously to actually take that ball in. He had pressure from defence. He was trying to juggle the ball in, and then the defence hit him and cannoned him into the corner post. And that's where we have a camera based at ground level. It should come up pretty good on it. The ball from Blake wide. Carey didn't have it the first time nor the second, and he was then cannoned by Kenny and another. Let's have a look and see if we can find if Paul Taylor is all right. He's quite groggy, but there's no sign of blood on the face. I thought he was bleeding from a facial wound. Mosley played the ball, and Stewart just takes it out and kills it for 1. Parramatta now are quite happy to shut it down. This is Mansfield. Paul Taylor there with Graham Richards. Ball out to Wynn. A quick ball was required from Wynn, but he didn't possess the techniques of a Michael Cronin and was tidied up by Close. Quinn. Parramatta quite happy to play slow motion football at the moment. Short ball away to Kenny, and then a cutout pass. Gross goes back inside, beats 1, comes to the defence, gets a pass to Ella. Ella's gone 10 metres into the opposition's half. It's gone to Mosley, now to Sterling. Sterling puts a kick in. It's gone straight to Cleal, and Cleal is away from Kenny. He's come to Ella and Growth, and they combine to put him down. And there's the siren. It's all over. The first clash of this new season between Manly and Parramatta. And the Eels running out victors by 19 points to 8 with 3 tries, 3 goals and a drop goal to Manly's 2 tries. Peter Wynn, Brett Kenny and Ray Price scored the tries for Parramatta. Steve Ella kicked 3 goals, Paul Taylor a drop goal, and for Manly, Glenn Ryan and Alan Thompson scored the tries. 19 points to 8 then, the final scoreline in favour of the Blue and Golds, and the stage now is set for the confrontation of the Eels and the Bulldogs. That's the next big meeting, I believe, of the top 3. We'll be in the dressing rooms, however, in just a moment with our man of the match and Bill Anderson.
Electronic Sales and Rentals man of the match is the Parramatta hooker, Michael Mosley. Mike, you started the year in 3rd grade and now you're in the 1st. You've come a long way in a few weeks.
Yeah, it started off like that. I started off in 3rd grade, and Steve Edge helped me along the way. He's been teaching me most of the scrums, and I don't know, it's just happened that way. I don't know, it was good.
The final score of 19-8. Does the score indicate the game?
No, Manly played it hard. We took our chances and we came up with the points. That's how it was, They were very hard. We were very lucky.
Well, for taking today's award, it's my pleasure to present you with a cheque for $500, courtesy of NEC and Electronic Sales and Rentals.
Beauty, thanks a lot, Bill.
At what stage of the game today did you think you had it parcelled up?
I enjoyed the game when Ray Price scored the try, with 3 minutes to go or whatever it was. That's the part I enjoyed the most.
Both of these teams are going to be in the semi-finals. What have Manly got to do if they're going to come up and win the big one?
Well, I think it's common knowledge that you must spin the ball wide against Parramatta, as Manly did in the second half. And if they spin the ball wide against Parramatta, I think they're a show. But they're going to keep it in tight. I don't think they're much of a show.
Man of the match was Michael Mosley, the young Parramatta hooker, deputising for not only Ken Stewart, but also for Stephen Edge, and doing a mighty fine job. Well, let's have a look at the weekend results now. Yesterday, Canterbury 19, Norths 8. Eastern Suburbs have bounced back into the winner's circle, and how? A 20-10 win over St George. Balmain...